I never thought my quiet life could shatter in a single moment, but standing in my worn-out kitchen, the heart of the home I've built with Marcus over 15 years, I felt the ground slip beneath me. The golden afternoon light couldn't mask the chill creeping up my spine as I noticed the distance in his eyes, a secret heaviness he carried that I couldn't reach. Our mundane routine, my floured hands rolling dough, his tired nods after work, was a fragile illusion, and now something dark looms over us, threatening to tear apart everything we've known. What did he mean when he whispered there's a way out of a debt I never knew existed? Stick around, because what walked through my door next changed everything. There's a certain rhythm to the way the late afternoon light spills through the kitchen window, catching on the chipped yellow paint of the walls and making the whole room feel like it's holding its breath. I'm standing here, as I always do, at the worn wooden counter, my hands dusted with flour from rolling out dough for biscuits. My name is Elira, and this little suburban home, tucked away on a quiet street where the houses all look like they've been copied and pasted, is the entirety of my world. At 39, I've carved out a life that's as steady as the hum of the old refrigerator in the corner, a constant companion in this space that feels like the beating heart of our existence. My husband, Marcus, 42, is the other half of this equation, the man who's been by my side for 15 years, through every uneventful season of our marriage. Our days are a predictable dance. I'm the homemaker, the keeper of this modest sanctuary, spending my hours scrubbing floors until they gleam, folding laundry with a precision that borders on obsession, and making sure dinner is steaming on the table by 6:30 sharp. Marcus works down at the local hardware store, a job that keeps him on his feet all day, and when he walks through the door, I can see the weight of it in his shoulders. He'll hang his jacket on the hook by the door, give me a tired nod, and settle into his armchair with a mug of black coffee. No sugar, no cream, just in time for the evening news. It's the same every night. A ritual that's as comforting as the creak of the floorboards underfoot. We've never had children, never faced any earth-shaking crises, just the two of us in this quiet life, building a kind of stability that feels like it could stretch on forever. But lately, something's been off. I can't quite put my finger on it, but Marcus isn't himself. He's quieter, his words clipped when he does speak, his brow furrowed even when we're just talking about the weather or what's for dinner. I've caught him staring out the window, lost in thought, his coffee growing cold in his hands. I've wanted to ask, to dig into whatever's gnawing at him, but I stop myself every time. Maybe it's just stress from work, I tell myself. Maybe it's nothing. So I bury my own unease, that creeping anxiety that prickles at the back of my mind, under the monotony of chores. I sweep the kitchen floor twice a day, even when it doesn't need it. I rearrange the pantry, lining up cans of soup like soldiers. Anything to keep my hands busy, to keep from wondering what's behind those distant eyes of his. This kitchen, though, it's my refuge. It's not much to look at. The paint's peeling in places, the linoleum's scuffed from years of pacing back and forth, but it's ours. The refrigerator hums like it's got a mind of its own, always chugging along no matter what's happening around it. Tonight, though, that familiar hum feels like it's mocking me, a steady reminder of how everything I thought I knew is about to unravel. Dinner's over, the remnants of our meal, half-eaten meatloaf and mashed potatoes, still sitting on plates in the sink, unwashed, untouched. I'm at the kitchen table with Marcus, the air between us thick with something I can't name yet. Outside, a neighbor's dog barks in sharp, insistent bursts, cutting through the stillness of the evening. It's the kind of sound that usually fades into the background, but right now, it's grating on my nerves, amplifying the tension that's been building all day. Marcus is across from me, his coffee mug cradled in his hands, but he's not drinking. He's just fidgeting with it, turning it back and forth, the ceramics scraping softly against the table. His eyes are downcast, avoiding mine, and I notice the slight tremble in his fingers, like he's holding onto something far heavier than that mug. I open my mouth to say something, maybe to ask if he's okay for the 100th time this week, but before I can, he speaks. His voice is low, almost a whisper, but it hits me like a punch. "Elena, I owe money. A lot. I can't pay it back. But there's a way out." My heart skips, a jagged stutter in my chest, and my hands instinctively grip the edge of the table, the rough wood biting into my palms. 1,000 questions flood my mind. How much? To who? How long has this been going on? But they stick in my throat, too heavy to push out. I just stare at him, waiting for more, needing him to fill in the blanks. But there's nothing, just silence, a suffocating weight that presses down on us both. The kitchen light overhead feels harsher now, buzzing faintly as it casts stark shadows across Marcus's face. He looks pale, almost ghostly, the lines around his eyes deeper than I remember. I search those eyes for something, anything, that might tell me this isn't as bad as it sounds. But he looks away, his jaw tight, shame written all over him. I want to demand answers. I want to shout, to ask how we got here, how he could keep something like this from me. But I'm paralyzed, rooted to my chair by a fear I can't name. My mind is a storm, spinning with worst-case scenarios, each one darker than the last. Has he been hiding this for weeks? Months? What kind of trouble are we in? My fingers tighten on the table until my knuckles turn white, but I don't speak. I can't. Not yet. The dog outside barks again, a sharp yelp that makes me flinch, and I realize how quiet it is in here, how the absence of sound between us is louder than anything else. I'm still sitting there, frozen, my hands gripping the edge of the kitchen table, when the back door swings open with a slow, deliberate creak. The sound cuts through the suffocating silence between Marcus and me, and my head snaps up, my pulse racing. 2 men step into the room, their heavy boots scuffing against the worn linoleum floor, leaving faint streaks of dirt behind. I don't know them, but I hear one call the other Vince, and the second mutters something to Carlo. That's how I name them in my mind. Vince and Carlo. Vince is leaner, with a sharp jawline that looks like it could cut glass, and cold blue eyes that seem to pierce right through me. Carlo is broader, his frame filling the doorway, a jagged scar running across his cheek like a cruel signature. I brace myself, expecting roughness, maybe even violence, but they don't raise their voices or make sudden moves. Instead, their calm is what unnerves me most. It's the kind of quiet that feels like the calm before a storm, heavy with unspoken intent. Vince moves first, stepping closer to me, his boots echoing softly with each step. He stops just inches away, too close, and I can feel the heat of his presence, the faint scent of tobacco clinging to his jacket. My breath catches as he reaches out, his hand brushing across my cheek, slow and deliberate. His touch lingers, and I feel my skin prickle, a shiver running down my spine. "It's warm here," he murmurs, his voice low, almost a whisper. "And you're beautiful." The words hang in the air, heavy and wrong, and I want to pull away, to slap his hand off me, but I can't move. I'm rooted to the spot, my body betraying me as I stand there, paralyzed. From the corner of my eye, I see Marcus in the corner of the room, sitting with his head bowed, his hands clasped tightly together. His gaze is fixed on the floor, and the weight of it, the weight of his silence, presses down on me harder than Vince's touch. I don't understand at first, not fully. My mind is racing, trying to piece together what's happening, why these men are here, why Marcus won't look at me. Then Vince steps back, just enough to give me space to breathe, and Carlo speaks for the first time, his voice gruff but steady. "The debt, Marcus. You know the terms. She's the payment. My stomach drops, a sickening lurch that makes the room spin. I turn to Marcus, desperate for him to say something, to deny it, to fight for me. But he doesn't. He just sits there, defeated, his shoulders slumped like he's carrying the weight of the world. The realization hits me like a tidal wave. His debt, the way out he mentioned moments ago, it's me. I'm the currency, the sacrifice to make this right. My hands tremble as I grip the table harder, my nails digging into the wood, and I feel a storm of emotions crashing through me. Anger burns hot in my chest. How could he let this happen? Betrayal cuts deeper, slicing through the trust I thought we had. And fear, cold and sharp, wraps around my heart, whispering all the ways this could destroy us. But beneath it all, there's something else, a strange resolve I didn't expect. I look at Marcus again, at the man I've built a life with, the man who's now a stranger in this moment, and I think about everything we have. This home, this kitchen, the quiet nights we've shared. I don't want to lose it, even if it's already slipping through my fingers. My mind screams at me to run, to fight, but my body stays still, rooted by a need to protect what's left of us, no matter the cost. So when Vince gestures toward the kitchen table, the same table where we've eaten countless meals, laughed over spilled coffee, planned our mundane days, I don't resist. I let them guide me, my legs moving on their own. Heavy and mechanical, what happens next feels like a blur, a series of actions and emotions that I can't fully grasp. As the back door closes behind Vince and Carlo, the echo of their boots fades into the night, leaving behind a silence so heavy it feels like it could crush me. I'm still standing by the kitchen table, my hands smoothing down the fabric of my apron over and over, as if that small, repetitive motion could erase the lingering weight of what just transpired. I can't bring myself to look at the table's surface, not yet. That worn wood, once a place of shared meals and quiet mornings, now feels tainted. A silent witness to a moment I can't unsee or unfeel. The only sound in the room is the faint drip of the faucet. A slow, maddening rhythm that seems to mock the chaos swirling inside me. Each drop hits the sink like a tiny hammer, marking time in a space where time itself feels frozen. I glance toward the corner of the room, where Marcus stands, his broad frame hunched as if he's trying to disappear into the wall. His shoulders are slumped, his head bowed low, and I can see the tension in the way his hands are clenched into fists at his sides. He hasn't moved since they left, hasn't said a word, and the distance between us feels like an ocean, vast and unbridgeable. My chest tightens as I wrestle with the storm of emotions crashing through me. There's numbness, a dull ache that makes my limbs feel heavy, like I'm moving through water. There's anger, sharp and hot, burning in my veins as I think about how we ended up here, how he could let this happen. And beneath it all, there's something strange, something I didn't expect. A flicker of power, a quiet strength that comes from knowing I endured, that I faced the unthinkable to protect what's ours, even if it's broken now. I shift my weight, my feet scuffing softly against the linoleum, but I don't step closer to him. I can't. Not yet. My eyes drift back to my hands, still smoothing my clothes, still trying to find some semblance of control in this shattered moment. When I finally muster the courage to look at Marcus again, he lifts his head, and the sight of him steals the breath from my lungs. His eyes are red-rimmed, glassy with unshed tears, and as I watch, one spills over, tracing a slow path down his cheek. Then another. In our 15 years together, through every argument, every hardship, I've never seen him cry. Not once. The sight of it cracks something inside me, a wall I didn't even know I'd built, and I feel my own eyes sting with the threat of tears. I want to go to him, to wrap my arms around him and tell him it's okay, that we'll get through this somehow. But my feet are rooted to the floor, heavy as stone, and I can't make myself move. I'm trapped by the weight of what's happened, by the betrayal that still lingers like a bitter taste in my mouth. The air between us is thick, charged with all the things we're not saying. Questions pile up in my mind, each one heavier than the last. How did he get into this debt? How long has he been carrying this secret, letting it fester while I went about my days, oblivious? And the hardest one of all, can he ever look at me the same way again, after what I've done, after what he allowed to happen? I want to scream at him, to demand answers, to shake him until he tells me everything. But the words won't come. They're stuck, tangled up with the hurt and the fear, and all I can do is stand here, staring at the man I thought I knew, wondering if we're strangers now. After what feels like an eternity, Marcus moves first. He shuffles toward the doorway, his steps slow and unsteady, like he's aged a decade in the span of an hour. I follow, not because I want to, but because I can't stay in this kitchen any longer, not with the ghosts of what happened still hovering over that table. We make our way to the living room, the familiar creak of the floorboards underfoot sounding louder in. I wake up to the pale gray light of dawn creeping through the bedroom curtains, the kind of light that feels more like a shadow than a promise of a new day. My body aches, a deep, bone-weary pain that seems to have settled into every muscle, every joint, as if the weight of last night has physically pressed itself into me. I barely slept, my mind caught in an endless loop of fragmented memories, those heavy boots on the linoleum, the cold touch that lingered too long, the way Marcus just sat there, silent and broken. Each thought is a shard, cutting into me over and over, refusing to let me rest. I roll over, staring at the empty space beside me in the bed. Marcus must have gotten up already, or maybe he never came to bed at all. I don't know. I don't want to know. Not yet. I force myself to sit up, the sheets tangling around my legs like they're trying to hold me down. My head throbs, a dull pulse behind my eyes, but I can't stay here, cocooned in this room, hiding from what's waiting for me downstairs. So I drag myself out of bed, my bare feet hitting the cold floor with a jolt that snaps me a little more awake. I pull on a robe, the fabric rough against my skin, and shuffle toward the stairs, each step heavier than the last. The house is quiet, too quiet, the kind of stillness that feels like it's waiting to be shattered. As I descend, I catch the faint scent of coffee already brewing, a bitter note in the air that tells me Marcus is up, somewhere, going through the motions just like I'm about to. The kitchen looms ahead, and my stomach twists as I cross the threshold. This space, once my sanctuary, now feels like a battlefield, every inch of it stained with the memory of what happened. I keep my eyes averted from the table in the center of the room, focusing instead on the counter, the sink, anything but that worn wooden surface. I move on autopilot, reaching for the carton of eggs in the fridge, the loaf of bread on the shelf, the old coffee pot that's already half full. My hands tremble slightly as I crack the eggs into a bowl, the shells splintering too easily under my fingers, the yolks spilling out like tiny bursts of sunlight I don't deserve to see. I whisk them with more force than necessary, the fork scraping against the glass bowl, a sharp, grating sound that cuts through the silence. I drop bread into the toaster, watching the coils glow red, and pour myself a mug of coffee, the steam rising in lazy curls that do nothing to warm the chill inside me. There's an irony to this, isn't there? Here I am, preparing breakfast in the same space that now holds such a dark, unspoken weight. This kitchen, where I've cooked countless meals for Marcus and me, where we've shared quiet mornings over toast and coffee, now feels like a stranger's domain. I can't linger on that thought too long, though, or I'll unravel completely. So I focus on the task at hand, setting the plates, buttering the toast, scrambling the eggs until they're just right. But when it comes time to set the table, I hesitate. My gaze flickers to that wooden surface despite myself, and a wave of nausea rolls through me. I grab a sponge from the sink, dampen it under the faucet, and start scrubbing the table harder than I need to, as if I can erase the lingering echoes of last night with enough elbow grease. The wood is already clean, but I keep going, my arm moving in frantic circles until my shoulder aches and I have to stop, breathless, staring at the gleaming surface like it's a mirror reflecting my own fractured self. I hear Marcus before I see him, the slow shuffle of his footsteps on the linoleum, a sound so familiar yet so foreign now. I don't turn around right away, busying myself with plating the eggs, but I feel his presence behind me, heavy and unavoidable. When I finally glance over, he's already at the table, sitting in his usual spot, his face pale and unshaven, the stubble on his chin casting shadows on his face. The days that follow that harrowing morning are like walking through a fog, thick and disorienting, where every step feels uncertain, every breath a little too shallow. I'm still here, in this house that once felt like a haven, but now it's as if the walls themselves are holding on to the weight of what happened. Marcus and we've fallen into a new routine, but it's not the comforting kind we used to know. It's uneasy, fragile, like a cracked pane of glass that could shatter with the slightest touch. We speak only when we have to, short, clipped sentences about mundane things. Where's the mail? Did you pay the electric bill? Pass the salt? There's no depth to our words, no warmth, and we never, ever mention that night. It's an unspoken rule, a silent agreement to bury it deep, as if pretending it didn't happen might somehow make it disappear. But it's there, always, lurking in the spaces between us, in the way our eyes avoid meeting for too long. I've changed how I move through this space, small adjustments that feel monumental in their own quiet way. I don't sit at the kitchen table anymore, not for breakfast, not for anything. Instead, I perch at the counter, my back to that wooden surface that still carries the shadow of memory. I eat my toast standing up, crumbs falling onto the linoleum, my coffee mug balanced precariously on the edge of the sink. It's a petty rebellion, maybe, or just a way to distance myself from the past, but it's mine. Marcus, he's changed too. He spends hours in the garage now, far more than he ever did before. I hear the clink of tools, the occasional grunt of effort, as he tinkers with things that don't need fixing, old lawnmower parts, a rusty bike frame, anything to keep his hands busy and his mind elsewhere. I know it's an excuse, a way to be alone without having to explain why he can't face me. I don't push him on it. I can't. Not when I'm hiding from him just as much, in my own way. As I stand here, day after day, going through the motions of this fractured life, I've had time to think about what I did, about the choice I made when everything unraveled. And the truth is, I don't regret it. Not in the simple, straightforward way you might expect, not because I found some twisted joy in it. No, it's deeper than that, more complicated. What happened revealed something about me I didn't know was there, a strength I hadn't tapped into, a darkness I hadn't acknowledged, a capacity to endure the unthinkable and still stand on the other side. I faced a storm I never saw coming, and I weathered it, not just for Marcus, not just for this house, but for myself. There's a strange power in that, a quiet resolve that keeps me moving forward, even when every step feels like wading through mud. But it's not without cost. I carry that night with me, a weight that sits heavy on my chest, and I wonder if Marcus sees it too, if he senses the change in me, the part of me that's hardened in ways I can't undo. I keep coming back to the image of him that night, after it was over, standing in the corner of the kitchen with tears streaming down his face. I've replayed that moment 100 times, maybe 1,000, trying to decipher what those tears meant. Were they for me? For the sacrifice I made? The burden I took on? Were they for himself? For the shame of his debt? For the choices that led us here? Or were they for the life we've lost? The quiet, steady existence that slipped through our fingers like sand? I don't know. I may never know. He hasn't cried since, not in front of me, and I haven't asked. Some questions feel too big, too raw, to voice out loud. They hang between us, unanswered, adding to the invisible wall that's grown taller with each passing day. About a week after that night, I'm in the living room, folding a stack of laundry, the mundane task both grounding and surreal in the wake of recent events. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.